When I used to train horses, the first thing that we did with them is I put them in a round pen. A round pen is about 50 to 60 diameter circle penned in. So it creates sort of a safety. And we use the round pen to teach horses a safe way of dealing with their own fight or flight, which human beings have that same sort of mechanism that kicks in when something triggers us, when something scares us, something makes us feel helpless, hopeless, angry, whatever. We get the fight or flight response, and horses have it. And if you're trying to ride them or work with them, that fight or flight response becomes very dangerous. When I was like 18, my first horse, Quincy, had a bad fight or flight response and actually broke my hip while I was riding him in an arena. And from that point on, I was taught by this stunt trainer in Orange County, California, how to work them through the process of breaking out of the fight or flight and fright or flight energy. We all have it. So it was a great lesson for me. I've used this metaphor to help you guys in Charm Life, to help you in Soul Fast, and I want to bring it sort of out into the public arena, because a lot of you I've had readings with or sessions with, and you're dealing with anxiety and you're getting stuck in a negative cycle or circle of mind circling around the same issues. So when we take a horse into a round pen, we run them in a circle, one direction, and then make them reverse. And a lot of times when you do that with a horse who is not behaving, who's in full-blown fight or flight mode, it can be a little nerve-wracking. Quincy, the one who broke my hip, it took on average about 20 minutes anytime he would have an incident to get him into the round pen and teach him to circle until he would relax. And I have trained a lot of horses in the round pen, getting them to just stop freaking out. Horses can only last, humans too, can only be afraid and hold fright. Now, horses don't last as long as humans, but horses can only last about 20 minutes typically in a fight or flight mode. They literally, they'll be shaking, they'll be freaking out, and they'll be running and doing what you're asking them to do, all in a mode of resistance. And they're bucking and they're rearing and sometimes even coming at you. And it's this place where you have to get them to finally just give up the fight, give up the flight, stop running, stop fighting me, just submit, just relax. And I have had horses that I put into that round pen. Quincy was one of them, who literally like foamed himself up in a sweat. He was so scared of the noises that he was hearing and of me asking him different things. And his attention was outside the arena, and his attention was on things that had happened to him. And I was triggering a lot of his past trauma because he was an abused horse. So it was good training for him. What I've found and learned throughout the years is that we as humans have a very similar reaction. While we don't, kick and bite and rear, with our bodies, we certainly do bite back with our mouths, right? We put people down, we yell, we scream, we hide, we run. We do all kinds of like mad, crazy things to avoid this thing that we are afraid of, right? So whether we're afraid of rejection, we are afraid of hurt, of abandonment, of whatever, we go into a fight or flight mode. If someone hits a trigger of yours from your past, from a past abuse, from your childhood, from whatever, then you go into fight or flight mode. And like the horses, while they will come at you while you're trying to work them through their fear and their anger and whatnot, while you don't do that as a human, you do use your mouth. You do use like bad behavior, right? You'll scream, you'll throw things. Sometimes you irrationally quit a job because someone triggers you at work. Road rage is fight or flight mode. Like seriously, someone's triggered when they're in that place of road rage. And what we don't want to do is like get stuck there. Others of you get stuck in the mind circle, mind chatter, and it's like, how could I have done it better? And you start to second guess yourself to the point of paralysis, analysis paralysis. So what I like to do with humans, like I did with the horses, is teach you that there is safety in a circle, but not the way you've been doing it. So like when we put the horse in the round pen, we run them one direction, we run them the next direction. The whole idea of the round pen is to get them to submit to the commands, to feel safe, to come off of their whole reactionary, weird, freaky, very dangerous behavior, and trust. And then once they get that enough times within the round pen, we can go out of the round pen, go on trail, go into the arena, do some work. And if they freak out again, immediately, without the safety of the round pen necessarily, you have the safety of the trained circle. So you put the horse in the circle, and when you do that and make them circle and circle, no matter what's going on out there, they remember the peace and calm of the circle, and you can get them to calm down. Well, as human beings, what you need to replace your mad mind circling with is something positive, something, a tool, a resource that will get you unplugged and unhooked from whatever the ego is reacting to unconsciously. Pull yourself into a conscious place in the safety of a circle, but one that you consciously choose, not one that you're doing out of reaction. Make sense? We all need some sort of safety mechanism instead of a defense mechanism. When you go into fight or flight, when you go into analysis paralysis, when you start to act from a place of ego, right? It is just this defense mechanism. You aren't even reacting to the thing that's happening right now. It's that thing that's happening right now is like a stick that's poking an old unhealed wound, and you're reacting to something that happened a long time ago, which is why I like to use tapping with my clients and in my programs to give you something that will discharge the old emotions, and then we can put something new in. So how many of you have developed some sort of a safety reactionary mechanism for when something triggers your ego, for when something, someone says something or someone does something and it immediately creates this weird emotional reaction? How many of you have a resource, a tool, or something like that? Now, I know those of you in Charm Life and even as Soul Fast, you guys have some tools. I've given you some tools. Hopefully you're using them. But for those of you who've never taken any of my programs, like I said, get into Soul Fast. That will give you some basic tools if you're not ready for, you know, the complete process and to change your entire life and like make a 180-degree turn. You just want to start at the beginning steps, get into Soul Fast. If you're ready to do the 180-degree turn, get into Charm Life. But I want to give you this, okay? Instruction. Find something, meditation, prayer, journaling, something that when you find yourself in a state of fight or flight, that you sit down and give yourself a good 10 to 20 minutes to write it out, to record it on your phone, something to get that fear and get that emotional energy out of you in a safe way. You're creating a safety circle for yourself, not exploding out at everybody else to where you're doing damage to your life, right? Not that. Felt that and react wrong many times. Yes. It is good to look at why you're triggered. Sure. Yes. After the fact though, like we have to get out of the fight or flight mode first. So what I want you guys to do is to start developing some sort of go-to tools that you're going to use. You know, like I said, if you're in Charm Life, you guys have a ton of tools. Like you have every tool under the sun. If you're in Soul Fast, you guys have a handful of tools that you can use. Create 3 steps for yourself when you catch yourself in fight or flight mode. Number 1 step in that safety circle that you're creating for yourself is stop. Stop talking. Stop reacting, stop physically moving, stop action, stop. Number 2 tool, you could go take a nap, but if you're at work, that's not always going to work for you. So if that means that you need to go into the bathroom, if you do know how to tap. If you know Ho'oponopono, use Ho'oponopono. If you have some time, you can take a walk it off, but create a step number 2, okay? Step number 3, record yourself, write it down, whatever it is that you are reacting to. Obviously, in the midst of it, you aren't going to have a rational, clear enough head to really process all of it, but at least if you record it, you will have something to come back to later, okay? 3 easy steps. Create that circle when you're finally calm, and hopefully you've taken some really long, deep breaths. When you're finally calm, use meditation, use prayer. Go back and face these things. Why was I reacting to that? What was it that I was reacting to? Okay, the more you catch these places where your ego hooks you into this mind circling madness, the quicker you're going to get out of fight or flight mode. The problem with staying in, and human beings, like I said, can stay in fight or flight a hell of a lot longer than 20 minutes the horses can handle it. I had a horse named Bo that was an Arab that was a massive just train wreck of a horse when it came to fighting. Not so much the running away. If he was running away, it was with the rider on his back, like straight into a tree to knock the rider off. Bo was more of a fighter. He wasn't really scared. He was just kind of an ass. Amazing horse. And we were able to do a ton of stuff with him. But he finally got to a place where he even submitted to me. You know, it took some agreement and 40 minutes in the round pen versus 20, but he finally submitted to and began to trust, you know, the safety of the circle. So what I'm telling you is this: as human beings, your fight or flight mechanism can go days, can go weeks. Some people make it a way of life. And I do not want to see you guys do that, because it affects your central nervous system to the point of creating physical illness. Right? And it gets your mind stuck in a loop of negativity and puts you in the victim mode, or puts you in the arrogant asshole mode, where then you go on the attack towards everybody. And anytime anyone says anything that's slightly off of what your opinion or your thought is, then you attack them. We don't want any of that. Create a safety circle for yourself. Obviously in Soul Fast and Charm Life, we went deeper into this whole concept of creating a place for yourself that you can pull yourself out of that reaction mode. But certainly you want to be able, I want to give this to you guys, because I know people are reacting out there. I get it. You may be reacting and you don't even know why. And the energy is super intense right now. And I get that too. But we've got to do things for ourselves that's going to get us out of that habitual reaction place and get us into conscious response place. Ho'oponopono is the Hawaiian ancient healing method. Get with me after this, Janine, and I'll gift you something that will help you understand what Ho'oponopono is. It's a tool I teach and we use a lot in Charm Life along with tapping and stuff, but it's a great way to start to shift energy. If you have high anxiety, sometimes Ho'oponopono is just not enough. It takes tapping. It takes dialogue. It takes a lot of process. You know, if you're highly analytical, and most of you are, and on top of that, super sensitive, you know, your mind, your rational analytical mind can talk you out of doing things to get your energy and your emotions down. That's the problem with us smart folks is, you know, we've got every defense in the book. We can come up with reasons why I should be mad. That's ego too, though. And I want you guys to be very clear about that. When the ego thinks that it needs to justify to be right, ego, right? I have a right to act like that. I have a right to do this. I have a right to do that. You know, you have a right to think and believe what you want. Certainly, we all do. But when that thing infringes upon or causes harm to another, now you've crossed the line. Right? You wouldn't want someone else doing that to you. That's why it's super important as we grow and we evolve spiritually. If we want to stay in that place of love, which is what we've been instructed to do, and we know when we're standing in love, we're in the highest vibrational place, then we can create the things we want and also leave our mark on the world in a nice, loving, positive way. If we want that, we have to do the work that's necessary to keep ourselves there. This planet is messy, y'all. Life is messy. It's not this simple, easy, you know, journey. It's an exciting journey with ups and downs and surprises and hurts and disappointments and victories and celebrations and blessings. But the ego really likes us to play small and be comfortable and do the tried and true. The ego is the part of the mind that bases everything on the things that you already know. That pulls you away from spirit. It separates you from source energy, from God. You know, I was talking to someone not that long ago. It was within the last week or two. They asked me, well, what is sin? You know, because we were, I think I knew who it was. We were talking about clearing energies, negative energies and entities. And we were talking about sin because she too has an upbringing in the church. And the way Spirit Soul has explained sin to me, sin is not this thing that you're not going to be forgiven for. Sin is anything that separates you from your divine nature and your creator. That's what sin is. It can be like the thoughts that keep you circling. That's sin. It's not like you're going to die for it. You're creating your own hell in it, though. like hell here on earth. You're creating that hell. That's sin. It separates you. It separates you from your true divine nature, from your true potential, from living your highest good, and from making a positive impact on the world, and cooperating and being in balance and harmony with this planet, with nature, and with others. So that's what sin is. Like, it's not this big, thou shalt not. The reason we were given those instructions was because some people, just the simplest of things, they needed rules. If you need those kinds of rules, thou shalt not kill, then there's a deeper issue there. I'm not the right person to deal with that with you. So, in any case, I hope that helps. All right. Create for yourself a round pen, a safety circle, somewhere when you go into reaction mode, you have these easy steps to get yourself into circling into the positive, right? The circle is sacred. The sun is round. The moon is round. Everything we do when we clear is in a clockwise fashion. That's in a circle. We want to create a safety circle, though. We don't want to create mind circling, right? So if that's what you've been doing, is mind circling, draw 2 circles on a piece of paper. Spirit's going to give you a new exercise. So get a sheet of paper out. Draw 2 circles on it. In one circle, okay, in fact, put it on the left side. So on the left side, write in the circle all the things, just keywords, what you're mind circling about, what you're reacting to. And in the right side of your paper, exactly the opposite, into the positive, what can you focus on? Just take those things that you've been mad about and crazy about and sad about and questioning and self-doubt and all this other crap. Take the keywords from that, put it into the new circle exactly in the positive. Just flip it, okay? So that you can see, this is where I am, this is where I'm going, and then stay on the right side of your paper. That's the safety circle that you want to create. Make sense? So brand new exercise for all of you. Spirit's good at giving them. So we just say thank you. Yeah, this happens a lot in Charm Life, not so much in live stream, where I just kind of give you guys something, but that was what Spirit just showed me in my head. So bless you with it.